beautiful beings, and welcome to another live. This time I'm really at 5:55 because I'm on Eastern Standard Time, and I've got a new backdrop, so hopefully you like it. It's actually from the same artist as my other backdrop, so kind of a different color scheme, different vibe, but it's nice to switch it up. I still have my pink one, and I will be utilizing that when I'm in Nevada. Also, I am in the middle of nowhere, so apologies if I break up or the quality isn't as great as what you're used to. I'm, yeah, truly living out there. So we're gonna do the best that we can today, but pre-apologies for any glitches. Speaking of glitches, today we are talking about my favorite subject, which is the quantum world, and it's honestly the perfect month to do it. I mean, in my July prediction video, I was talking all about quantum and glitches. And if you want to check out that video, check out that video on the Cosmic Society. Every single month, I release a brand new video on the first of the month talking about the predictions of that month. So be sure to check that out. And you just need a free membership in order to check out those prediction videos. Also on the Cosmic Society this month, we are talking all about entrepreneurship and what it takes to really build a business and what you need foundationally and even mindset-wise to really build a business, a thriving business, whether it be spiritual or a little bit more 3D. I'm covering all of the bases. So check out that content for the month of July 2023, or simply just type in career entrepreneurship in the search item of the website, elizabethapril.com. And also, I just wanted to mention, I don't know, I haven't really mentioned it or talked about it recently, but I do have a book. So if you love my videos or you love my podcasts and you want a little bit more of that, then I highly recommend checking out my book. It's called You're Not Dying, You're Just Waking Up. I have a paperback, I have an ebook, I have a hardcover now, and then I also have an Audible. So if you love Audible, you can download it. I think it's only 8 hours, so you'll definitely blow through it. And I cover everything from spiritual awakening, ego death, anxiety, all the way to quantum physics, aliens, and soul mission. So it's definitely a must read. And that being said, be sure to smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and definitely share this video to friends, family, loved ones, or even just strangers on the internet who need a little bit of a quantum deep dive. Okay, so here's my, I guess, kind of definition of quantum co-creation. This is really important. We all need to understand this concept because we're being affected by it every single day. So quantum co-creation is essentially the concept that I kind of just made up, but it would be equivalent to entanglement in a way. We are all connected at the smallest level in the universe, and with that connection, we are all co-creating this reality together. Pretty much sums up what's happening every single day. And hopefully by the end of this video, you're going to really understand why I'm talking about this and why it's so important to understand this. So we co-create this reality that we're seeing with others. And this is the hardest aspect of creating and manifesting this reality is when we do it with someone else. That's why a lot of starseeds stay single for long periods of time, because we're already dealing with our shit. We're already dealing with our trauma. We're already dealing with our ego. We're already dealing with our identities and attachments. And now you're saying that we got to deal with someone else's ego and projection and attachments and trauma? Great. Let's just, navigate that together. It can be really, really difficult to co-create reality with someone else. So I find that co-creating a reality with someone else is the messiest co-creation that we can have. And it happens every single day. It happens at work with your boss and your coworkers. It happens at home with your kids and your husband or wife. It happens on the street, even just grocery shopping. We are co-creating all of the situations in our life together with other people. And a lot of the time, that looks like projection. So it's messy. It's really, really messy to co-create with other people. Now, of course, when we think about quantum co-creation, we immediately think of creating this reality, creating this humanity, what we're seeing right now, with the rest of the world. What we don't think about is quantum co-creation with self. So you're single, you're alone, you're chilling in your place, wherever that may be. And just by hanging out with yourself, you are co-creating. It's a co-creation, not just a creation. Because it's consciousness, it's that fractal of source energy, which is really the driving force behind any creation. And then it's you as a human, it's your ego, it's your identity, which is fine. Ego is fine. And I've said this before, and read the book if you haven't already, but I talk a lot about ego and self and the human. So we are co-creating this reality with ourselves because it's the equation of consciousness and then the human, the ego, the self, right? And so that's great. And I find that co-creation with self is a little bit cleaner, but you have to be in neutrality because typically, and this goes on sometimes for years, sometimes for lifetimes, there is an energetic disharmony between your consciousness and your human or your ego. And because of that energetic disharmony, you're just fighting yourself on co-creation the entire time. Because your ego, maybe it's still programmed, maybe it's still trapped in trauma, maybe it's still attached to some sort of expectation. But your ego will say, I really want that new shiny car because society tells me that that's what's going to make me happy. I really want that car. And your consciousness is like, dude, that's an illusion. Like, let it go and move on. That's not what you want. What do you really want? So there's a constant reverb until you practice mindfulness and objective awareness around your ego and you understand that your identities, your attachments, your all that you are is not you at all, and you get into that place of 0 point frequency or neutrality, you get into that place of pure consciousness, pure creation, and from that place everything will manifest, right? So that's co-creation with self. It's still very messy. Not as messy as co-creation with others, because not only are you dealing with your own reverb, you're dealing with their reverb, and most likely they haven't done a lot of the work just out there in society. And so we need to start thinking about this. Quantum co-creation with others, quantum co-creation with self, and what I'm really going to focus on today, because this is where the downloads have been coming from, is quantum co-creation with nature. And when I talk about nature, I'm talking about plants, trees, grass. I'm talking about the elements, water, air, fire, earth. I'm talking about animals. I'm talking about Mother Gaia, right? Quantum co-creation with nature. This is the best type of co-creation that we can have on planet Earth. And I'm going to tell you exactly why. Because nature does not hold an identity or an ego or trauma, which means that nature is going to always be the purest reflection of source consciousness. When we're co-creating with others, we're dealing with ego and consciousness. When we're co-creating with self, we're dealing with ego and consciousness. When we're co-creating with nature, we're dealing with pure consciousness, pure reflection. And I think in a lot of ways we don't think that the tree out there has consciousness. I know that this is a different kind of group, which is great, and we all know that trees have consciousness, but typically we don't think like, oh, let me have a conversation with the tree over there. But I'm going to tell you the experience that I've had in the past week, because I was getting trained. It's going to sound kind of weird, but whatever. I was getting trained by nature. Nature was training me. Now, remember, nature is pure consciousness. Nature is pure source. Nature is that reflection. So I was getting trained by source. And if you're a starseed, then you've been trained before. Sometimes we get trained in our sleep. Sometimes we get trained in our dreams. It's kind of the same thing. Sometimes we get trained by the lessons or the karmic cycles that we encounter. And sometimes, if we listen and we're quiet enough, we actually get trained by consciousness, by pure source, through nature. So, here's what happened this past week, and I'm going to break it down, and I don't know, I feel like there's going to be some nuggets here for you. So it was a series of 4 nights where I sat outside in deep meditation, in a deep state of trance, which was really freaking nice. And when I was outside, I was actually in our hot tub, which I never really turned too hot. I always turn the hot tub to the exact temperature of the human body. And the reason why I do that is because I love feeling nothing. I love being able to not feel my body. And so it's kind of a bit of a deprivation tank, right? If you could imagine. So I'm sitting in this like tub of water that doesn't really feel like anything at all, outside staring at the forest. And during this series of 4 nights, 4 days of meditation, I was trained. I didn't actually realize I was getting trained until the 4th night, the 4th day. So here's what happened night 1. Night 1, I was sitting there, I was meditating, I opened my eyes, and in that moment, I opened up my heart chakra, and I expanded that energy field, that beautiful, swirling green energy, and I expanded it so, so, so wide. And upon expanding my heart chakra, I started to have gratitude and appreciation for everything. I started looking around and saying, wow, look at the green of the trees. Look at the blade of the grass. Look at that bunny, grazing. Look at the flower blooming, and just like the birds chirping. It was just this expanded. And then, of course, you expand it to your family members. You expand it to your life. You expand it. I even was thinking about all of the challenges in my life and having gratitude for that. Expanding the gratitude to all of the darkness in the world, to all of the people suffering, to all of the experiences that I've had and will have. Just expanded gratitude. It was this incredible heart opening, and it put me in this state of pure connection. And I get chills just talking about it. Because when we're in that state of gratitude, we're connected to all of it without judgment, without fear, without attachment, without expectation, including the connection to the dark side, which is pure objective observation from a state of neutrality. I was able to observe it all and understand that it all was divine. It was all needed. And it was also such a state of vulnerability too, because you're just so infinitely opened. Now, the other thing that I experienced with this grand heart opening was empowerment. And through empowerment of feeling connected to everything, knowing that I put myself in that place, in that moment, to be connected to all of it, I felt like I could release all of the disempowerment. And it felt like all of the disempowerment was just an illusion, right? Just an aspect of illusion. And so I was able to release all of the disempowerment that I've ever had, of thinking, why would that person say that? Why is there a troll on my live video right now? Why is this happening to me? Why is it raining? Why do I have a bug bite? Why can't I pay my bills? Why? Let it all go, okay? Let it all go. So that was the first night. But the lessons kept coming, and they kept getting more and more intense. So night 2, I was being taught about sound frequency. So as I'm sitting there, once again in a deep state of meditation in this hot tub, all of a sudden, all of the sounds around me were heightened. It was like they were on blast in my inner mind. And I could hear everything. I could hear the wind rustling through the trees. I could hear the birds chirping. I could hear something in the forest rustling. I could hear, really annoying, I could hear the bugs buzzing around me. And I could hear my car beeping. So I had my car parked beside me. And we have this like alarm thing for any like rodents that go into the engine. Like it basically it beeps and it annoys them enough that they don't go into the engine. Anyway, so I haven't turned it off, and it was just so loud, this beeping, and I started getting frustrated. God, this beeping is so loud, and here I am trying to enjoy the peace of nature, and all I have to do is like contend with this beeping. And then all of a sudden I realized that I get to choose what frequency I allow into my reality. And by understanding that that's a choice, I started tuning into each and every sound individually. And by tuning into each and every sound individually, I was able to tune out all of the sounds that I didn't actually want. Now, think about it this way, right? We do this naturally. One way that we do this is you've got a ticking of a clock, or maybe you're parked beside, or sorry, you live beside like a train that goes by, or you live on a flight path, for example, or maybe the garbage truck always comes on your Monday Live videos, right? We get to choose whether or not we tune into that sound frequency. And eventually we don't hear the train going by. We don't hear the ticking of the clock. We naturally choose to tune these things out. So I was learning how to tune in and out of sound frequency and remembering the power that we have to choose. And that power comes through focus. And then I also want to mention selective hearing. It's really funny because we always make fun of my dad for having like selective hearing. And I also think his hearing is really going, but like also selective hearing. And selective hearing is really just selective reality. Think about that. The more that we practice selective hearing, the more we can practice selective reality. It's just a small example of what we are able to tune in and out of. And the training continues. Moving into night 3. Once again, I'm back in the hot tub. It's exactly my body temperature. I'm floating there. Nothing exists. I'm in a deep state of meditation. And then all of a sudden, all of these sensations get heightened. I'm talking all the sensations. I started feeling incredibly hungry. I started feeling all of the bug bites all over my body, and they're so itchy. I started feeling really hot or really cold. All of these sensations started to happen. And immediately, especially with the bug bite, I wanted to scratch it. And in that moment, I'm like, no, I can choose whether or not I participate in this sensation. And I do this all the time with hunger, right? I tell my body that, I don't want to say I tell my body that I'm not hungry, but I observe the sensation of hunger to the point where it's no longer a sensation that affects me. And I've done this with actually getting my tattoos. I've observed the sensation of a tattoo long enough without reaction, which is a state of equanimity, where all of a sudden that tattoo, it doesn't hurt. Sometimes it turns into a sensation of tickling, and then eventually the sensation goes away altogether because you've neutralized that sensation. So here's how I got really tested with this sensation. So I sit up in the tub and I've got, my upper half of my body out of the water. And I'm trying to like concentrate on neutralizing all of the sensations that I'm feeling. Hunger was easy. The bug bites were much more difficult. The wind that was like coming across my face, I was feeling it. I was neutralizing it. And then all of a sudden I felt this bug land on my back, and I'm thinking it's either like a black fly or a mosquito, and immediately I'm swatting it away, right? Not killing it, but definitely swatting it, like, get out of here, stop bugging me. And then I'm like, oh, that's a sensation. That's a sensation that creates this feeling of unsafety, right? I'm not safe because it's attacking me or what have you. So I would swat it away. And then the sensation was neutralized and it was fine. And then it would come back, and then I would swat it away again. Eventually I looked down. It wasn't a bug at all. It turned out to be a piece of hair blowing in the wind, tickling my back the entire time. But I created the illusion of fear because I thought it was something that it was not, because I wasn't actually observing it at all. Closed my eyes, went back into a state of neutrality. I felt the sensation again. And I even told myself, even if it was a bug, how can I get into a place of neutralizing that frequency? And eventually I was able to do that. And all of a sudden I was back to this state of deprivation, of no sensation at all. I was able to tune out all sound frequencies, and I was able to tune out all vibrational frequencies, sensation frequencies in my body. And so that was the third night. Now the fourth night. The fourth night, I didn't do so well. I kind of failed the fourth night test, and I'm just waiting to get tested again because I know it's coming. And thank you, Sharma, for that super chat. So the fourth night I'm calling the invasion. So here I am in the tub, once again, outside. And it's all the same things, right? So here I am, I'm meditating, I'm expanding my heart chakra full of gratitude. I'm observing the sounds around me, tuning in and out of them easily. I'm observing the physical sensations that I'm feeling, tuning in and out of them easily. And then I look up, right? So in front of me is like this green forest, and above me is like this white clouded sky. It was kind of like sunset. It wasn't really nighttime, so it was still bright out. And so as I look up into this like very white clouded sky, I see all of these, like I'm telling you, it was like a swarm of bugs. And I don't know what they were. They definitely weren't like tiny little cute gnats. They were like either horse flies or, wasps or something that was threatening. It was either like wasps or horse flies or mosquitoes or all of it. So I start freaking out. Like immediately I'm like, I gotta run out of this tub and I gotta like run inside because they're about to attack me. Like that's what it felt like immediately. So as I'm looking up, I see this huge swarm above me. And then I look in front of me into the forest. There's no bugs. There's nothing. That swarm doesn't even exist. I look up, freaking out. Thank you so much, Esteban, for that really generous super chat. I appreciate that. Look up, the swarm is there. And not only is the swarm there, but every time I look up into the sky, it is literally getting closer. Like, I'm not even, like, this isn't like, I felt like it was getting closer. Like, those bugs were literally coming into my vicinity, okay? And then I look away. I look straight into the forest. Literally, they're not there. They do not exist. And I know in that moment, because I've been getting trained all week, I know that I am supposed to neutralize the fear that I have, feeling like I'm about to get full-on attacked by these frickin' wasps or whatever. And so I'm like neutralizing, but every time I have a fear, I look back at this swarm. And once again, it's getting closer. I look into the forest, I try gratitude, opening myself, calming myself, I feel better, I get freaked out a little bit, I look up, oh my God, they're getting closer. I did this over and over and over again, trying to neutralize. I knew exactly what the lesson was. I knew exactly what the reflection was. I knew that those bugs were a representation of entities, darkness, conspiracy, agenda, the matrix, imprisonment, fear, worry, the feeling of impending doom, attack, whatever you want to call it. It was all of that mixed up into these bugs, right? And I love bugs. Like, I'm not even like a weird bug person. Like, I'm like pretty chill. But this felt invasive. So I left. I couldn't handle it anymore. I couldn't handle the anxiety that I felt of this encroaching invasion upon my safety. I wasn't able to tune them out of my reality. So I know that that's a lesson that I still have to learn. And whether it be a troll on my social media or a psychic attack at night or, some sort of, I don't know, creepy darkness in the forest or a swarm of bugs, right? I still have to learn how to pick and choose my battles, pick and choose my reality, pick and choose what I'm co-creating with. That is the whole point. What the purity of nature taught me, and it was really a training ground for 4 consecutive nights, was that I get to choose. I have the power of choice. And what the power of choice really is just focus. So I want to ask you, Starseed, what are you focused on? Therefore, what are you creating in your life? What are you missing? What are you not focused on? Because it took me a lot of focus, a lot of neutrality, a lot of objective observation to learn those lessons and realize that I'm not learning other lessons. But I had to be aware of that reflection. What is your coworker teaching you? What is your landlord teaching you? What lessons are going on in your life right now that you're caught up in, thinking that life is happening to you? Because newsflash, it's not. And I know that we know that conceptually, but I think it's time that we slow down. We understand the concept of quantum co-creation with others, with society as a whole, with the matrix, with ourselves, and with nature. If you really want to learn, tune into nature. Get into a state of quantum neutrality, of 0-point frequency, where you are just a part of all of it, observing objectively. You are not Sarah or Esteban. You are not Zen. You are not Jessica or Mark. You are none of that, because you are everything. And when we can get into that place, and it doesn't have to be every day, all day, but when we can get into that place consecutively, every once in a while, we remember what we're doing here. We're here to learn. And through observing, we learn. And through learning, we move forward. When you're not afraid to face a challenge, when you're not afraid to face yourself, when you're not afraid to understand that that person who's triggering you was also co-created by you for a reason, then what we do is we take our power back. We no longer become the victim of our reality, and then we get to uncreate and recreate this reality however we desire. And that is something that comes back to me over and over and over again. So if you enjoyed this little quantum download through the reflection of pure source in the incarnation of nature, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up, share it with your loved ones who really need to hear it, or like I said, just strangers online. Definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Check out everything that I have to offer on my website. And if you want all of my teachings in one, definitely check out my book, because truly, we aren't dying. We're just waking up. But sometimes we got to go through a little bit of death in order to have a rebirth. And that's what we're here to do. Thank you all so much, as always, for being here and being open and being my reflection, because in order to be a teacher, as you know, you need to be a really great student. Bye for now.